Welcome to the 7th circle of hell, Oxford Circus. The good news is that it's sunny and it's a Sunday. So whatever obscene amounts of crowds that are typically here, which make this probably my least favourite part of London, on days like today, seems much more tolerable than usual. A road that in previous times originally had the glory of being one of the major thoroughfares of the Roman Empire in Londinium, then centuries later, famously being the final passageway that many prisoners took towards the Tyburn gallows before being hung. Then throughout the 19th and 20th century, seeing the rise of retail and famous department stores like John Lewis. Right there. With all that rich history, nowadays, I would best describe it as a overcrowded, touristic shithole that represents the worst of both this city, but more importantly, humanity. On the flip side, every city has to have the equivalent of this. It's like Times Square in New York. If you consolidate all of the worst parts in one area, that theoretically should protect the rest of the areas from all of that crap, and they can retain their natural character. So in many ways, we can be thankful for the Oxford circuses of the world. But as I was walking here just before, back there, I realized that I walked past the first office that I worked at when I first moved here about 6 years ago. But it's funny, right? Because I moved here in early January 2019, in the middle of winter. And I remember before I moved over here, I was sitting back in Australia, where I'm from originally, in the middle of summer, enjoying myself, looking on Google Maps, trying to strategize and plan out the feasibility of how I was going to go about my weekly routine. Okay, I'm going to have to get this bus to get to this part of the city, and I really didn't know this city at all back then. Like, I hadn't been to Oxford Street before, I hadn't been to Oxford Circus. And I remember the fear and the anxiety and the insecurity and the confusion that came from moving to a new city and moving in the middle of winter and trying to navigate a certain part of the city that would be such a busy, kind of intimidating hub when you first come here, overrun with people, more so than the relative laid-back areas of Sydney life. Nowadays, since moving here, a lot of the anxieties that would have been here before I came have gone away. Moving here in the middle of winter felt kind of scary. It was kind of scary. It was dark, cold, you wake up in the morning in the complete darkness, you go to work in the darkness, and the first few months of that entire experience was kind of like overawing. Nowadays, with the passage of time and more experience and more competency, walking down this street feels like a breeze. It feels like very familiar, even though I still kind of really, if I'm being honest, don't like it at all. And of course, that doesn't really mean anything. There's no deep and meaningful conclusion to take from that, other than I think it's a kind of humorous point to show that things often feel scary and intimidating and unfamiliar when we start off. But one, if we just wait a while, the season will change, so to speak, and things will all of a sudden look a lot nicer. People will be happier. Everything, although the facts haven't changed, although the street hasn't changed, the entire experience of it feels nicer, just because I've waited a little bit. But secondly, with more intentional exposure to the very thing that intimidates us or makes us feel unfamiliar, after a while, it doesn't seem so bad. Kept coming back to this office day after day, week after week, and after a few months, it felt second nature. After a few years, or 6 years later, I still work not that far from here. Feels like, whatever, it's just another street. It's not scary at all, it's not intimidating at all, it's not overwhelming. It is, however, kind of fucking annoying. But that's alright, mate. That's the least of our problems. Anyway, that's the only point I wanted to make today. If things are tough, if things are overwhelming, if things are scary, just wait. It'll get better. But you can probably do something about it as well. It's a very lovely Sunday afternoon. I'm gonna go meet a mate for a coffee and some lunch. Take care of yourself, mate. See you tomorrow. Peace.